Hello everyone, welcome to the last 4 videos in this series, Easy Ways to Fill a Sketchbook. If this is the first video you're watching from this series, this is basically an art challenge where you can use the 26 letters from the alphabet to get ideas on things to draw. And today we are drawing something that starts with the letter W. So a few days ago, I saw this photo of a toy model for Kowloon Wall City. So a wall starts with W, so what a coincidence, and I really like this subject matter. So I downloaded a few photos from the Twitter account that I saw the photos from. These models are so detailed. And I believe these toy models, they are sold, so if you want to buy them you can, but I don't know where you can buy them from. I'll put the link to the Twitter page that I saw these photos in the video description below, so you can see how detailed these are. I mean, when drawing something like this, you really do need to plan in advance, like how do you draw the clothes that are behind the grills. If you're using gouache, maybe it's easier, but if you're using watercolor, I'm not sure how easy or what's the actual process to painting something like that. Wow, check out the shop. This is so detailed. I'm actually thinking of drawing with the Pilot penmanship with EF nib because this is very nice for drawing all the details, but I don't have a lot of time to record this video today, so I'm just going to draw with my usual fountain pen, the Pelikan M200 with the fine nib. So the lines are going to be thicker, it's going to be more difficult for me to draw details, which means I don't have to draw that many details. If you are following along with this series, you can actually draw whatever subject you want. You don't have to follow exactly what I'm drawing. I am drawing this with the help of a reference photo that I found online, and I am not going to copy exactly what I see because many of the reference photos, they are actually low resolution because the Kowloon Wall City, it has been demolished decades ago and there aren't many high-res detailed photographs online. So I'm going to use some artistic license to make certain changes here and there. So this part is where I will use my artistic license to add a few more signboards because I have already lost track of where I am. I've already lost track of what I am drawing because there are just too many elements in the photograph. So for the signboards that are closer to us, that are in the foreground, I will try and draw them bigger. For the signboards that are in the background, I will draw them smaller. This is to create a sense of depth, to at least create some perspective. For the people on the streets, I will use very simple shapes to draw them. And these people, they are overlapping the buildings behind, so I have to draw them first. I'm going to draw a lot of them to make the sketch look lively. Alright, I have drawn enough signboards, so this is the part where I will draw the side of the buildings. This is actually quite challenging because the reference photo that I use, the quality is quite low, so it's very difficult for me to see the details. So for this part, I would draw some imaginary balconies and windows. I'm able to construct the side of the buildings, all these structures, because I have been sketching such architectural elements for the longest time, for years, so I can actually construct them from imagination, but I do need to use a reference photo to help me with the perspective. But for little elements, I can just add them as and when I need them. But perspective, sometimes it's a bit difficult to imagine because I still need to work with the original perspective. This is what I have so far. I will be painting some blacks and grays using the color brush pen. And later on I'll be coloring this with a very limited color palette, because this is a rather, how should I say it, a grim subject matter. So all these areas right in front of the shops at the ground level, these are all pretty dark. So the Kowloon walled city has actually been demolished, and in its place a city park has been built. I've not been to the park before, even though I've been to Hong Kong several times. And speaking of Hong Kong, I do have a lot of friends in Hong Kong, mostly friends from the Urban Sketchers group. It would be so nice to be able to go back to Hong Kong again for a holiday. I'm not sure when that will be. I'm just going to dab some Lexington grey ink onto the page. So this is kind of dark, but it's not completely black, so I guess it's still alright. Many of these signboards are actually white because, well, if you have reverse text on black signboard, it doesn't seem to look as nice compared to bright letters, bright characters on a white signboard. Next thing I want to do is to create some splatter marks. So I'm going to use this fountain pen here to help me. I'm not sure if you guys can see the splatter marks, but it's very nice. Here's a closer look at the splatter marks. This definitely creates a lot of texture to make this sketch look a bit more gritty. Okay, it's time to paint. So I'm going to paint with the bright colors first, and then paint with the neutralized colors. The white gel pen is extremely useful for drawing the white window grills. So this is the completed sketch, painted very quickly with watercolor. I only used yellow, orange and red for the signboards, and for the background it's just a mix of random colors from the watercolor palette that I have. Basically I wanted to have this very dirty, very dull color for the concrete buildings. And next I painted with, I drew some of the characters with this Uniball signal gel stick. I used red for the words on the signboards, and then for the thicker characters, for thicker colors, I use Posca markers, mostly reds and blacks, again for the signboards. So here's a closer look at the sketch. So for this sketch, I try to draw as fast as I can, but I try to make sure that the shapes that I draw are still recognizable. I make sure that the side of the buildings, the windows, the balconies, they are still recognizable. And here at the bottom we have a lot of signs, a lot of street signs, and a lot of people on the streets. Here I used white gel pen, basically to have the little highlights against the black, so that we have dark against light and light against dark. It makes things look more interesting. And here we have these shelters, which I think I want to add some colors just to make it look, more interesting. Yeah, I think now it looks better. More street signs. These are the signs that are closer to her, so this will be bigger. If you actually go and study the sketch look close, I mean the construction of these buildings, they don't really make any sense. Alright, if you guys have been following along with this art challenge, do share your work on your social media pages and use this hashtag azsketchbook so that we can all see what we have drawn. It's going to be very inspiring. Thank you for watching today's video. Tomorrow is going to be quite challenging because we will be drawing something that starts with the letter X. Yep. Okay, thanks. See you guys again. Bye.